precious. Sure.
We don't care, we're about to swear on the air. It's the after the show, so tune in if you dare. KVJ, get risque every single day. It's uncensored. We can say what we want to say.
Yeah, hello and welcome to the KVJ After the Show podcast. Happy Tuesday. What's up? What's up? Virginia is now in Texas. She was in New York yesterday, stuck, and I guess she just came into town, did a quick hospital visit, and then boom, bounced off to Texas to go to her mom's doctor's appointment today.
I was confused about that. People were asking, was V here in Florida and then left again?
And she was. Yeah, she was. I guess she popped over to the hospital with Denny's yesterday. So went over to St. Mary's for something, I guess, maybe with our charity, Little Smiles. So
yes, we did have something lined up with them.
Yeah. So I think that's it. She says that she will be back tomorrow. So she's just kind of sitting there with her mom and kind of babysitting it and kind of dealing with that. So yeah, I understand it's very difficult. So, you know, as your parents get a little bit older, it's kind of a weird switch. I am one of those people, I don't ever want to tell anybody how to live their life. But, you know, as it gets there, it's odd that as your parents get older and they deteriorate a bit, they really do start making some bad decisions. And it's kind of tough for me. I'm kind of facing the same thing. You know, I got my dad who's burning through cash, and I found out yesterday he might have written off another $100,000 check.
What?
Yep.
To who?
Had to do with a legal thing where he might have, he feels like he made a mistake in something, and they had said, no, you're okay, but he felt guilty and he thought it was the right, admirable thing to do. So he has done that, so that's the final stop. So I am now going to have to get a little nasty with Dad, and we're going to have to go in there and have to get that magical checkbook away from him. So
Also, it's impressive how much money he has in his savings.
yeah, well, he got a good inheritance. My grandfather was he did very well. He owned the Quaker states in Ohio and West Virginia, and then he also owned a bank. And so when he sold all that, yeah, my dad got a really nice inheritance. But my dad has spent all of it, so I have no inheritance coming to me. Dad has already blown through it, so that's gone.
I ain't got shit for relatives with any kind of. I'm getting nothing.
Right, but Dad's working on homelessness next, and if he winds up homeless, he comes to Florida, and he does not like Florida because of the heat. So I'm like, Dad, unless you want to come to Florida or just live on the streets of Logan, you're about done. So yeah.
Well, that's too bad. That's still going on.
Well, he got the people that were in his living in his house and completely taking advantage of him. They are gone, but now there's just other people that are taking advantage of him, and so he just can't. He cannot be trusted.
Do you think it's because of his age and something's changed in him to a point where you're not recognizing your dad?
I think there are a couple things. One, I think he, you know, has changed a bit. And then since my mom was the one that she managed him very well. In fact, she was always like, your dad has to go first because heaven forbid if I go first and he's left to his own, then we're in trouble. And so she went first. And so now we're seeing what my mom was, you know, predicting and projecting. So, you know, so that's just it. Again, but I'm somebody that doesn't like to tell somebody how to live their life. And, you know, I'm not money hell bent. I know many kids would probably be very upset that their inheritance is completely gone. But, you know, I don't care about that kind of stuff. So I just want Dad to be happy. But at the same time, I don't want him to, you know, do something where he's going to be in financial trouble. And the other thing too is like, you know, for a final act, like I don't want to be stuck with any kind of inheritance bill. And so I have to make sure to be like, look, I'm not going to take it. Be like, you're not sticking me with that.
You don't want him to piss away all of his savings if he needs something medically in the future.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be, that's going to, you know.
That could happen as well. And be like, look, if I don't have it, dude, I don't know what's happening, dude. I don't know. You're in a bad situation now. So
I mean, he can live with me.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, he doesn't like Florida, so he don't want to be down in it. So
yeah,
he's I think, you know, I've played nice, and I think it's probably unfortunately about time to not play nice.
I think the tough part to do is when you are trying to, you know, help out any loved one, but if they if they are losing faculties, and I'm not saying your dad is.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's just it. You know, he's in a weird spot where, you know, I used to always FaceTime with my mom, and so I kept that going with him. And then he told me flat out, he's like, I don't like FaceTiming. And he's like, I really prefer not to call or talk. He said, I just like texts. So you're limited, though, what you get from a text message.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's really the only connection. I mean, I went up there, as I told the story here, around Thanksgiving to see it. So, yeah, I'm just really kind of flying blind on where his, you know, faculties are and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I think we're at the point where and it's kind of a weird thing where it's like, you know, I used to always have to, you know, you would think kids would ask their parents for money, and now I think I'm going to have to go the other way where it's like, you know, Dad, you're going to have to ask me if you want any money. Like, we'll get all your bills automated and we'll pay for all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, so to keep you from, you know, penning off another $100,000 check, you know, I'm going to have to step in and be like, no, you're not doing that. Sorry.
Do you think Papa Ralston, by nature, is he kind of a lone wolf? Does he like kind of being on his own? I'm not saying he doesn't want to be around people, but for the most part, does he like kind of being in his own little world?
He talks about how he loves the house quiet and, you know, it's on his own thing. Yeah, he's an only child, and so he's always been a loner, and so he's fine with all that. So, you know, that's kind of it. So, yeah, so we're, you know, he dropped it off to my wife last night that that had gone down. And so I've got my own little spies up there, you know, around him that he's unaware of that are helping me out. And so, you know, I have a conversation with them. And so we're going to have to step up my thing. So what Virginia's doing, I get it. You know, unfortunately, you got to go parent your parents sometimes. And, yeah, as people are noticing, yeah, I'm an only child, too. So I'm the only one that is in here to do this thing. So.
Oh, yeah. No, it's... Mm-hmm. Dude, it's tough, man.
Yeah. So I get it. So she's dealing with her mom. I don't think I'm going anywhere to have to deal with Dad, but, you know, we'll see. So I get what she's going through. So she'll be back with us. Tomorrow is the plan, unless, of course, she has weather issues.
Look, life happens.
Yeah,
you know,
it does.
Gotta roll with it.
Yeah, there's always new experiences at every age. That's the exciting thing about life. Boy, you get to a certain point, you think, oh, I got it figured out. Now you're in the phase of life where you're parenting your parents, you know, so I'm in that phase of life right now. Got a lot of comments that came in here. The big old pizza debate. Mr. 01 or Mr. 01, however you say it, I don't even know because it's MR01. John, he's on the positive side up, says hands down delicious. Their coffee pizza is amazing.
Coffee pizza?
That's why I brought that up. I'm like, I'd never heard of that. And it's served with a hot honey salami and blue cheese.
That sounds... Hot salami and blue cheese sounds disgusting. That is a farts in a nutshell.
Wow. Okay, he said I'm close to the Boca location, but they got locations all over South Florida. They're out of Miami originally.
But now let's talk about that cheese with extra sauce. How's that dancing with us? Is that nice like?
I guess that's what you're going to have to go and find out on your own, Bird. So yeah, I don't know. I'm hearing too many conflicting opinions. And I do with a lot of the pizza places. It's kind of interesting. Just there's not many pizza places where I get all like huge, like this place is amazing. Honestly, a Beats is one of the few that people are like, yeah, it's good. I've had great runs with a Beats.
It is crazy that pizza can really bring out the dick in people.
Well, people are passionate about it, you know, and I think everybody's got different flavors and tastes of it that I do understand how it can be so polarizing that, look, if you find something that fits your sensibilities, and I got certain sensibilities for me.
Yeah, so, and I am not a pizza expert. I don't want to come off like
But you know what you like.
I know what I like,
right.
But I also know, too, that, you know, I'm not a big guy that likes a lot of meat on my pizza, so I'm a cheese extra sauce guy. A lot of people don't follow that philosophy. In fact, they'll call you out on that. I think cheese sauce, that kind of tells you the true test of a pizza.
Right, yeah.
You start adding meat. Now, is it the meat that's good or is it the pizza that's good?
Yeah, I get it. So, you know, for what you do, you might find a place that does extra sauce and cheese really well, but they may do all other pizzas not very good. And so you may love a place that makes your style better than anybody else. But for anyone else who goes in there to get their own style, they're like, yeah, they didn't do it very well.
It's so funny. You'll talk about a pizza place you like, and then all of a sudden you'll hear from somebody, fuck that bird.
Yeah.
That place sucks such dick.
That's why I find it fascinating. I know how passionate people are, but it's everyone that we bring up, it seems like it's almost a 50-50 split.
It is. But, you know, my whole new philosophy is the power of pizza, bringing people together through pizza.
Yeah, I love it. It is a food that about everybody can agree on, even though they can't agree on who makes it. They agree they like it. Now, Melissa, giving us a little perspective here. We were talking earlier this week. I couldn't even believe this, that some kids in high school are ordering food delivery. And it was on TikTok where some teachers are going off saying this is terrible. And some schools have banned it, but apparently others have not, which to me is madness because they were saying, okay, first off, it's disruptive to the class. You're having a driver come in here and the kids are giving them vulnerabilities on where to do pickup, saying, yeah, this back gate is open, so come on in the back gate. Well, that's not what a school wants for safety. I mean, we know all about school safety here in South Florida. It's not the kind of vulnerabilities you want to expose. Plus, kids are on their phone. It's distracting. And then what, you bring a damn meal into a class? Or like, what is going on here? And Melissa said, you guys think it's just high school. My kid's middle school in Palm Beach Gardens allows food deliveries. Such chaos.
That's insane. Do you remember the scene from the Spicoli movie, Fast Times at Ridgemont?
Yeah, he has a pizza delivered to the room. How crazy was that?
And it interrupts the entire class.
Yeah, and everybody else gets a piece but him for disrupting the class. Well, Mr. Hand was right.
Yes, you can't get everything you want when you want it in life. That's not how this works.
Right, and so everybody got a slice, and Spicoli had to sit there in the movie and watch everybody else eat his pizza for having it delivered to the classroom.
Side note, one of my all-time favorite movie foods that look amazing on screen, the pizza in that scene.
Doesn't it? You're right.
Oh my gosh.
It's one of the best looking pizzas ever.
Big time pizza boner.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
I always thought that as well. Yeah, such chaos, but this school's chaos anyway due to the administration. If you're there at lunch in the front office, every kind of delivery service is coming in the door, and they don't even check the bags, which is insane on top of it, too, because, yeah, think of what these kids could be having delivered.
Oh, remember when people said, no, you can't do that?
And I'm not talking food. Yeah.
Remember just in life when you just,
it's like we feel like we're just going to crush the spirit of these gentle flowers if we ever tell them, you can't do that shit.
You're raising monsters.
Also, they let kids use the microwave in the same office. It's literal chaos if you're trying to get your kid. And my kids always ask if they can order food delivery. And I'm like, no, $30 with lunch, food, tax, tip, fee? No. Are you kidding me? Who has that kind of money? And if you do have that kind of money, who wants to waste that on your school lunch?
I've stayed with it. I've not been doing food services.
Oh, really?
Remember
People have been asking that.
I was retiring
you said you were
from it.
done, and you really haven't caved on that.
I have not. Now, I'm sure I'll cave eventually. If I have a bunch of people over and you've got a party situation, then you order it. But yeah, to do it on a normal, nope, I'm out of that game. Fuck
okay.
that.
Good for you. No, it's insane. You know, it's I have never done it. I wouldn't allow it, and my wife and maybe my mother-in-law, my son is all into it now, and I just can't even. It goes against all my sensibilities, and it just makes me irate. Like when he orders these meals, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, what are we doing here?
You remind me a lot of my dad at times, and for a person like you, who I wouldn't say lives to eat but eats to live, or vice strike that reverse. You know what I mean? It's not always about the taste and the food. You eat to keep you somewhat full.
Well, it's just, look, I despise laziness, and I look at the food, I'm like, you've just paid 3 times the value of that meal, maybe more. Maybe you're paying 10 times the value of that meal. What? Because you're a lazy motherfucker sitting on the couch, and look, I'll get up and drive to get it for you. I just don't even know. It shows up at the door. I'm like, who's giving him money? Like, what is going on here?
The one thing I think about when I'm about to hit send, I go, bird. That could be towards a dinosaur statue.
Right.
It's something you can see every single day.
Tangible.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't even get it. I can't fathom it. It makes me, whenever I see food, I get so, the internal rage is just, I hate it. I hate everything about it.
I finally got screwed over so bad on my last round. I was so hungry, and it was late, and they screwed up my order, and they had screwed up 3 orders in a row. I just said, nope, I'm done with you. I'm done with this game.
Yes. It just seems like it's always like every time I've heard a story of it, it's just a problem.
How many times?
Every time.
How many horror stories do I have about Uber Eats?
It's like every time. Yeah, every time, whoever it might be. I mean, first of all, even if it's done right, it's still way too expensive for what you get out of it. So I'm not a fan of food delivery. Personally, if you want to do it, that's fine. You can waste your money however you want. So I only get upset when I see it inside my own family. I just don't get the concept.
Also, too, I love French fries. And if you're, people always go, why would you not just go get it? Well, if you have a drink, let's say you have a beer or two, I'm not going to be in the car driving to get my food. You have to now get it sent to you.
Right.
But man, I love French fries. French fries, they do not travel well. They are so shitty in delivery.
Right.
Air fryer, it does work, but it just doesn't. It's
not the same.
Not the same. It's just not worth the money, man.
Yeah. Well, to me, I would just say, look, let's get the food ahead of time before if we know we're going to have some cocktails or whatever, let's get our food and get ourselves ready to go. And
that's the way to do it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's planning, baby.
But do you drink and eat when you're drinking? You like eating?
No,
I don't either.
No, it's not. They're usually separate.
They're separate
because it's filling. So yeah, not too often at all. Yeah, they're usually separate functions for me. Now, I brought this up the other day. It is this bill that they're proposing here in Florida that could change restaurant service fees. It says the bill would ban automatic gratuities for parties of 6 or fewer and making them optional for larger groups. And on the flip side of this, we had heard of some places, including like the new Waterway Cafe that is reopened to more expensive menu items, that they had an immediate 20% gratuity that was on the tab. And I think some people had some issues with that, or they were getting overcharged, they felt, and not just there, but maybe some other places. Well, this bill would also require restaurants to disclose fee details on menus and receipts, because some people felt like they're like, where's this hidden charge from? Like, why is this all of a sudden so expensive? And they couldn't see tangibly where it was. Supporters say the bill increases transparency, while hospitality groups argue that it threatens workers' wages. Restaurant service fees have risen post-pandemic, and critics fear diners will exploit the opt-out option. If it goes through, this bill would take effect on July 1st, so it's creeping up. And our friend Ryan in Lake Worth Beach, not a fan. He said, you can tell the people who wrote it have never worked and survived on a service industry job salary in today's rental rates, is his complaint about it. He said there's parts of the bill where it says patrons don't have to pay included gratuity if they feel like the service is bad. But if you've noticed subpar service, it's because your server's probably getting 2 hours of sleep in their car if they are lucky enough to even have a car. So he says that it just seems so stupid that our vital restaurants are getting crushed by pointless building insurance laws, and now they're going to get crushed by a pointless no-tip law as well. He said most of our unpaid interns at his work are restaurant servers outside of the office, and you have no idea how bad their living situations have become in just the last 6 months. Some of them living in their cars, and it's sad because now it's illegal to be homeless in Florida.
Yeah, but also, too, there really is a thing that there's just shitty workers out there as well, on top of things. I get what he's saying about, the pricing and all that, but still, there's just shitty workers.
That's true. I don't know if you can say every time you've got bad service, it's because
they've slept in the car. That's just not a true statement.
I had one time where I was sitting there for 15 minutes and we really needed something, and the girl was standing, leaning against the wall, looking at her phone, and I was like, okay, that to me that's just bad service. I don't know if you've slept in your car or not.
Well, if she did sleep in her car, it doesn't matter because she's on her phone looking at Instagram,
right?
Where she needs to be doing her job.
Yeah, so I've had that, so I don't know if you can equate that all to that. But yeah, as far as how much it might hurt the workers, I don't know. Look, I am a big fan of, I do want transparency. I want to know where every penny's going. I think you get that from this conversation. I think I have every right to that. But at the same time, I do respect the workers, and I always want to tip very well and have it be a nice symbiotic relationship. So I don't know, but it seems like that bill, and I've seen it, there's a lot of people that are very much against where the tipping culture is. In fact, one of the local news stations had it on today where somebody was saying that somebody just took my bagel, put it in a bag, and they wanted me to tip them. And I was like, I don't feel like I want to tip for that kind of stuff. So, that's the patrons' argument against some of the tipping stuff that it's gotten. But yeah, I don't, the service industry is huge around here. We need to do everything we can to take care of our servers and hopefully make it a workable wage. So, one comment in the chat says the no tip law means they have to be paid more, which means prices going up at restaurants. A $5 item will be $8. So either way, you are paying for it.
Then what's the answer then? What do you do to fix that?
Yeah. Well, I've heard in the argument, I think in Europe for the most part, I think some food prices are, because I don't think they really do tipping in Europe. And so I think it's just that, yeah, you're going to see a higher price on the food item, and then you just have to make that adjustment. Because I think that, yeah, tipping a good server should be a natural part of how it goes. And it should be that everybody gets how much you should tip, and they do it very well. And that would be nice. But yeah, I mean, if you are just going to charge me more money, then you got to decide if you can afford to still eat out. And look, we've made adjustments.
It's like everything. It got so common for everyone to, oh, you got to tip. And if they're shitty, you go, well, I don't want to tip that well if they weren't very good. Mm-hmm. They go, well, you're a bad person if you don't tip well. Yeah. You go, well, but they were a shitty server.
Right.
So,
and that's it. I think that some people feel like I'm getting bad service and I'm forced into this tip no matter what. And so there goes the incentive for the server to work hard. Ryan's saying it's because they're lacking sleep or they're run down. But, there are cases without a doubt, and I've seen it, where they're a shitty server. And so some people are like, okay, well, I want you to earn this money. I feel like you got to work for it.
Both can be true. There are some people that, yes, like Ryan said, they're sleeping in their car. And then there's also just shitty servers.
Mm-hmm. Rob said, I'm a server in Poland. Tips are included, but we can afford living. And, we got a big problem here in South Florida.
That's what it is. It's really about the living.
Yeah, it is. I saw where we have the most expensive car insurance in America. It's like on average $4,000 a year or something, or a month. I don't even know what the hell it was. I have to look that up where I had that. But yeah, it's the cost is ridiculous. And Crystal said, yeah, in Europe, the fee is already included in the check. And maybe we just might need to get used to that as we ping pong about what we need to do here to give a livable wage to servers. So we'll see. Ryan also has another thing he's bringing up here to rant on. And I'd seen this. I thought it was interesting. The news that West Palm Beach is going to be getting an indoor concert venue downtown. It is going to be Related Ross, which is Stephen Ross, the Miami Dolphins owner, that is transforming downtown West Palm Beach in his image. He's going to be partnering with Live Nation, who does pretty much all the big concert venues. And it is going to be a 3,000-seat concert venue next to a courthouse parking garage on Banya Boulevard in downtown West Palm. The concert venue would be larger than the Kravis Center, their Dreyfus Hall, which has 2,000-seat capacity.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's decent. I think is Hard Rock Live maybe 6,000 or 7,000? So it'd maybe be half the size of that if I'm just grabbing at straws here.
Which makes you go, wow, man, when somebody sells out a stadium, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, no, it is, impressive. And look, some of these artists, it's a 7,000-seat capacity at Hard Rock Live. So this would be less than half the size of that. And, some of the bigger artists are choosing to play Hard Rock Live, but just with an elevated ticket price. I've seen some of the ones you're going, why are they playing Hard Rock Live? They could play an arena. Maybe they just like the more intimate venue, and they said, yeah, we'll just play for our big fans.
A stadium, in layman's terms, just a quick, what would you say, 20,000 a stadium typically?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, a stadium, now, if you do an amphitheater, they had told me that the Rib Roundup, I think, had 10,000 plus. Maybe that's capacity of 15 or 20K. And it looked very full, though. Everything I saw, it went back through the lawn as far from the stage, the videos I saw, it looked like it was very full. And I mean, that's amazing. You get 10,000 plus people anywhere.
So that's 10,000 there, which looked full. So these stadiums got to be doing 25, 30,000, right?
Hard Rock Stadium, if they did a concert there, I would imagine it's at least, even with the staging and all that stuff, I would imagine that you probably do 45,000 there. 40 to 45,000, because I think normally it's high 60s, low 70,000 $20,000 for a football game, but obviously you need staging and all that stuff and sight lines. You're going to take away, probably 20,000 of those seats. So yeah, I'd say the Hard Rock Stadium. So yeah, that'll be interesting when we get it. But Ryan's complaint here is he's always fighting for the common man. He's just saying that they're looking at putting elevated artists in there at a high ticket price. As I had said, some of those artists are doing, at the Hard Rock Live. So I'm not sure that he's completely thrilled with that.
Ranty Ryan, I like it.
Yeah, he's got some rants today. He's got some rants. He's fighting for the common man. So he said it would be nice. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, look at ticket prices on concerts. Haven't we all kind of looked at that? I mean, you just realize that you're doing probably less concerts and you're choosing these select ones. That there's a lot of blowback on. I mean, we had Taylor Swift rolling through. I know Beyonce's taking some heat about the price of her tickets.
One of the things I love watching old broadcasts from MTV back from like 1983, and there'll be there's people that have uploaded them on YouTube with the commercials, and they'll run concert ads, and like a Kiss ticket when they were popular was $21. $18 for tickets. You go, oh my God.
I think a lot of them, I look at some of the older ones, your Zeppelins, and you were talking $8 to $12.
Yeah.
For some of those concerts to go. And I think the first one I went to, which had had 3 massive bands and, 2 headliners.
Who were they?
It was Metallica, Van Halen, and the Scorpions.
That was your first concert.
First concert,
That's pretty solid.
They were the 3 headliners. You had Dokken, which was a lower band that I love, though.
I know you do love Dokken.
Yeah. They had a few bangers, I thought. And then you had a band that was just getting going called Kingdom Come, and they opened up. And, they had a decent first album and, maybe 2 or 3 good hair band songs.
Do you still rock out the Dokken?
Every now and then. It's only about... now I've kind of, where I used to listen to a whole album on some of the older ones, I'll just now go back and listen to that one song that I absolutely loved.
There are artists that I loved back in the day, but I played them out so much.
Right.
I can't even go back to them.
I'm that way with a lot. There are some where it's just, I have no desire to, I've listened through there. You're just so different when you first fell in love with them. You're like, you listen to it now, like, what was I thinking? You almost cringe.
I just love when you are out and about and you hear a song that you've never heard before, and it instantly kicks you right in the crotch. You go, oh, wow.
It's a great song.
One Take Jake.
What is that? Yeah, because it's that good. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a fun little thing to have happen. So every now and then it does. So yeah, he's got some feels on that. I guess we'll have to see. But I've made the same comment about downtown West Palm Beach, is that they are just creating a place that not many people are going to be able to afford, and I don't think they care. I think it's really Palm Beach is. They used to hate West Palm, like, now they're like, okay, we're going to take over West Palm. It's like a slow invasion.
You think on a strategy level, it's the right move that the rich people are going to stay and keep the money going?
It's right for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going to change, how everything looks. And that's tough, the upheaval for people that are not of that. And look, the people that have that kind of money, what they've done to get it, most of us are not going to have that opportunity or have that ability to get that kind of wealth.
We got to play the lottery more. We really
think that's it?
I just think we're not even putting our hat in the ring. Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
Let's at least try.
Yeah. On the car insurance, I want to get that stat right. States where car insurance is the highest according to Bankrate, Florida is number 1. $4,210 is the average cost for full coverage in our state. New York is second at $4,093.
Pay all that insurance and my Jeep is still so shitty. Not going to protect me.
Right, $4,000. I assume that's an annual, but that's freaking insane, man. And on the scams tip, we talked a good bit about that. Welcome to South Florida. And Rebecca said, they're everywhere. I'm in the talent acquisition space. I lead and oversee recruiting for an organization. And in my previous role, a large publicly held company, and now in my current company, a smaller private company, we have seen scams taking place in the job market. It's so unfortunate because these people are genuinely seeking employment opportunities and most likely are in need of their finances. The scam, people are being offered jobs after completing some sort of assessment, potentially virtually interviewing, and a lot of electronic communications. The jobs are usually remote that are being offered. They believe these to be legit jobs, and then as part of their onboarding process are being asked for their bank information to be able to get a check issued to process their equipment. We have received people reaching out inquiring about people who do not work at our company, fake names representing somebody in HR. These scam artists are putting up fraudulent job postings to engage people. Luckily, the larger job boards are able to detect relatively quickly and take them down because people change their IP addresses and emails so frequently they don't get caught. But please always err on the side of caution, and please do not do your research before providing any personal information to a company. That is crazy.
Dude, I'm not trusting anybody these days.
You're trying to find a job and you think that you have gone through a legit interview, maybe even done a FaceTime kind of call, and they're like, yeah, okay, we need to start processing. I need to get this information so that we can wire through the laptop we're going to be sending you. Or imagine if they even said, okay, do you want direct deposit? Give us the information for your direct deposit, and then they hack into whatever you got money-wise.
The last week alone, I've had 3 scammy things try to get me.
It's unreal. Yeah,
it's unreal. Not only with my phone, but through the mail. It's they're trying to get you on every way.
It is every single way, and look, it's really tough. And where I find it challenging, I'm sure that the way I am is the way so many people are. I've got so many emails coming at me, and I always have pressure. Like people are always like, Kev, you got to get on this, got to get on this. So there's more things thrown at me in a day than I can process. So I'm flying through everything, trying to process and get through everything I got to do this show and do the work and everything. And then on top of it, you got the scams. And so what's happening now, my plan is I just delete everything that I'm not positive that it is, and I wait for someone to come yell at me. And it's not until enough people yell at me that I'm like, okay, so this is legit. And it's a terrible way to be because I'm getting yelled at constantly, but I'm like, I don't have time to sit there and do the deep dive because you're right. As Angie had said, yeah, you got to go in there. Or Ryan had said, you always have to Google the email addresses and phone numbers. Honestly, I don't have time to do research to find out what this is. So it's just like ignore. And if you need something from me, then we're going to have to find a different way that I can vouch for who you are.
Well, I'm also not a very good adult. So you have to be responsible and really have your shit together. And if you throw any kind of little obstacle at me, I'm gonna fuck it up.
Yeah. And that's where I think the problem is now with what we have with the tech and everything is that you are so busy. And the scam artists realize that so many things are thrown in front of your face that if we do enough, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if it has like the right logo and it kind of looks legit and whatever, if you catch somebody, if you have me tired and spun around, you could get me where I'm just trying to get so much done. And the 8th out of 10th thing that I've clicked on to try to get something done is a scam. And just by clicking on it, then, yeah, you could get me.
If I'm tired, spun around, you could scam me. You could murder me. I won't see any of it coming.
And you probably don't realize it until all of your bills bounce and they're coming to foreclose on your house or apartment or whatever, or you can't order a meal. And you're like, what the heck? And they're like, yeah, all your money's gone, dude. That's crazy. So, yeah, that's going on. So thank you for that, Becca in Boynton. She said, blonde and purple hair with the purple suit shirt from the live ATS in Boca. Yeah, very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. That's very helpful for people looking for jobs to realize there are fake, scammy jobs just trying to get you in. They reel you in. You're excited thinking you got a new paycheck coming, and instead they drain your bank account, whatever you had left. It's crazy. And Juan said, talking about another scam, you think that medical procedures are expensive, Jaybird? Dental is just as bad, if not worse. I need an implant procedure done on just one tooth, and they want to charge me $4,000.
No, Juan is absolutely right. The teeth, if you don't have good dentist insurance, you are fucked, man. Financially, right. Whether it's just a little cavity or if it's something major, you're going to be paying big time money, and that's why a lot of people are going outside of the country to get stuff.
I'm sold on it. We've talked about it enough. Now, I would do a lot of research, but especially if you know somebody or conveniently have a Colombian girlfriend that might know a country, then I am leaning on her to say, just tell me where I go, who I talk to. I mean, we got that one email where somebody said that I went to another country, airfare, stayed for a week, had a great time. That includes meals, ate out every meal, and I spent a quarter of what they quoted me here locally to go and get a procedure without any of that other stuff. I had a vacation, got my procedure done, and still paid a quarter of the cost.
Teeth prices are fucking crazy.
Well, it's just our mental, honestly, our medical system in the U.S. is broken. Like, we have to do drastic things to reset this thing and get it on the right path, because it is a complete mess. From you look at all of our insurance and medical and everything else, it's not realistic. I know we really complain about it here in South Florida. I feel like we're in more of the vice grips in other parts of the country, but I think the rest of the country too is feeling it a bit.
Yeah, and I wasn't trying to be a dick earlier about my hip and the prices, because everyone that's worked with me with the hip has been very kind and very nice. I just got expenses I wasn't expecting, and I didn't even get my surgery yet.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it caught me off guard, and I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And maybe I didn't hear or understand what they were trying to say.
Yeah.
But I just did not expect some of the stuff that's, happens.
Mm-hmm. And Joshua, as I was talking about the Luigi Mangione, I'm never going to endorse shooting a CEO in the back in cold blood on a street in New York City. You can hate the insurance industry all you want, but that's never the right play. But he says, just so you know, a jury has no legal obligation to find a defendant guilty, even if all the evidence in the world says he is. A jury can do whatever they want. And you are right about that. I guess technically that could be it. You can present all the evidence and they may just have blinders on and not care. They already had the verdict in their head on how they want to go anyway. If we start doing that, then you're going to wind up with a serious judicial issue here in America. And I think at that point, you got to get rid of juries and you have to go all with judges. And then you got another problem with that. But
boy, that is a topic, man, so polarizing. I heard two people get into a major fight about that. One condoning what he did, one going, "What? You're condoning this?"
Yeah.
And just them getting into a fight. I'm going, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah,
I want nothing to do with this.
Yeah, I like I said, I am on the side. I don't believe in that. Look, this is a guy that, yeah, he may not have been the best dude, but you just can't say, hey, if you hate an industry or whatever, just start gunning down the people that work in it on the street. I mean, that's absolutely insane to say it out loud, and I will never side with the person who thinks that. Now, look, I am not a fan of the medical community and the insurances and big pharma and all that kind of stuff at all.
Yeah, I will never support or condone murder. I just won't. And,
No.
and I get it. If you
Yeah.
don't like my opinion on that, I'm not going to change that. I understand there's problems, but I can't condone murder.
And that's okay. And again, I always try to say this. I think we feel like if you can't agree with somebody, like we can't be friends. We can't look. We can disagree on a gazillion different things. You and I would go down a list, and there's probably half the things we don't agree on. But it's like best of buds. I'm all good with that. I am fine with us having a difference of opinion.
There are plenty of people I do not agree with in my personal life that I am still friends with.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that does take both of you being cool with one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Ryan said, what if he missed and killed somebody else? Exactly. That's just one of 25 different reasons why I'm like, yeah, you can't just be like, yeah, you know what? Go ahead. Go shoot him in the back when you feel like you're angry with the medical insurance community.
I got many scathing emails when I said the same thing a few weeks ago. I go, I just don't condone murder, and people go, Bird, you don't understand this. You never lost a loved one. I have lost a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through the medical thing. I still don't condone murder.
Yeah, there was. I can't remember the specifics of the story, but I think it was a Texas town, and the jury, or maybe it was law enforcement, there was somebody that had done something. It was vigilante in nature, and I think it had to do with a sexual predator had abused their child, and the parent had killed them, and they just said, yeah, you know what, our caseload's pretty full. We're not going to probably have time to get around to that anytime soon. And, look, in certain towns, that's the other thing. You got to know, too. Like, if you're planning on doing some bad shit, there are certain towns and parts of America, and definitely the world, where you're not going to get justice. So this is not the town to do that in. And there are many towns, I would say, small town Texas, I wouldn't be doing anything of that nature because you may not get justice as it's deserved.
And correct me if I'm wrong.
Or they would say you actually got justice, and that's how we serve it in Texas.
There's that one dude that molested, he was a karate instructor, I believe, and molested a boy, and the dad waited for him as he was getting, brought to court and shot him cold dead in Texas. And they go, you're good.
That happened in my wife's town. She tells me a story that same thing. Somebody had molested a kid. It was their kid, and then they had somebody show up with bail. And they had the first person that did it was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we'll go release him." And then somebody else was like, "Wait, who's doing this? Who's putting up the bail?" And they went and found out it was the kid's dad. And they went out to the car, and the guy had everything to murder this guy 100 different ways.
So the dad,
he was going to bail out the person that molested his kid and just kill him and bury him and call it good. And they're like, no, you can't release him to this guy. You know what he's going to do to him.
Yeah, that dad in Texas, I mean, he was waiting by a phone booth or a telephone, a public telephone. They brought the criminal around.
Yeah. Look,
they did it, and he pulls
it.
out a gun, shoots him straight up dead in front of everybody.
I think you're only human to feel that way.
Of course, it's your loved one. It's your child.
Yeah.
You're going to fuck around with my child?
I'd have those thoughts too. And if it happened to me, I might be driven to do it. I don't know. It's not right. But,
look, I hear you.
You know? Karina in Wellington said, I was listening to Monday's podcast while I was cooking, and imagine my displeasure when I wasn't able to pause the show fast enough to avoid Kevin's major spoiler alert for Sunday night's White Lotus episode. I am so sorry. I hadn't even been out for 24 hours, and it was a holiday weekend. Many people were still catching up. Calling you out, it's me. She said, Virginia would never, and you're right. That's my fault. I saw something on the show. Knew it was topical. I should have said spoiler alert or whatever. Just should have kept it for another day.
So you're still doing the Lotus, huh?
No, I'm not. That's why I saw what it was about. And so, look, I can't go anywhere without getting spoilers. And that's the one thing I would say. Look, shows I'm watching, I see spoilers all the time. It happens. But I saw something that I thought was disturbing, and I was asking, I'm not sure I want to watch season 3. And I've watched season 1 and 2. And there are just some things that I'm not sure that. And I was, even before it came out, I'm like, I don't know if I feel like jumping into another season of this. And then after I've seen kind of where they're going with some of the storylines, I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
When the shit did movie trailers give up the entire movie into the trailer? When did that happen? Because I will not even watch a movie trailer anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, the spoiler game is different. And I've let down my guard. I've gotten sloppy. And so I'm spoiling more than I ever had. I used to be very sensitive on it, but yeah, I've kind of lost my way.
Well, we had a KVJ rule. It's not a spoiler if it's 10 years or more.
Yeah, you're right. At that point, that's on you. But yeah, I get it. She's right. I was within the window, and yeah, I shouldn't have said what I said. I think I saw it, and I was so surprised that they were, that was the storyline for season 3. And I was just asking if it's good and worth watching. Because look, there might be parts of a storyline I don't love, but the rest of it's so great.
Oh, Mike says Walton Goggins is in there. He's good. If that's the guy from Vice Principal, he's a great actor.
Yeah, they get really good casts. And so actually, when I saw him, I've seen him in other things. I'm like, yeah, that guy's pretty good. So I was kind of feeling that. So I'm not jumping in. I'm not ruling out White Lotus season 3, but I want to probably let it finish and then have people be like, yeah, no, it's just as good, if not better than season 1 and 2.
Get on Vice Principal or
got on my list.
Eastbound.
Got on my list.
Yeah, Eastbound and Down. Is that what? Yeah, Eastbound and Down. They are. You're not going to overthink. You're going to laugh, and you can put it on the background, and nothing heavy, man. Mm-hmm. And honestly, some episodes have heart to them.
Yeah, and another one that I think is kind of cut from the same cloth, maybe some of the same people, is I'm hearing good things about Righteous Gemstones.
That's one I would love to watch. Danny McBride, who I love, I just couldn't get into it, and it's not because it was bad. I don't think I was there mentally.
Okay, yeah.
I think that one might be an hour-long show. There's something to be said for me personally. I like a 30-minute long show. That's why I love The Office.
I got
In and out, not too long, not a big commitment.
Absolutely, yeah. It does start to feel a bit like a time suck when you get into an hour.
But then there's those shows where you go, shit, there's only 3 minutes left? What? I wish there was another hour and a half.
Okay. Anna's saying it's so good, Kevin. Adam Levine and Goggins in it as well on HBO Max. Yeah.
Yeah,
Got
you
it.
know, I just gotta. Sometimes you know how you're not in the mood for something. It's not anything other than you just weren't there mentally and couldn't concentrate. I'm sure it's a great show.
Right, yeah. And I think, you know, if I hear good things about it, I'll put it on the list and get to it when I can get to it.
It's pretty tough for HBO to not do a good series. If they suck at a series, it's kind of rare.
You're right. Their batting average is really solid. They do really good. And honestly, it always has been. HBO's been
They've always been great. Since we're talking the 80s, they were making their own content back in the day, not necessarily the news.
It's impressive how long they've been around.
Mr. Show with Bob Odenkirk and David Cross was one of my all-time favorite shows.
Okay. Might have to put that on the list, too. And we were talking earlier is Dennis Leary, right?
Yes.
That we talked about in The Dirt. The comedian had a great story about lead singer of R.E.M., Michael Stipe, and Shiny Happy People, and played a promo from 1992 on MTV. I remember that promo. Boy, just looking at it now, you're like, gosh, it looks old.
And remember his big thing was Dennis Leary smoking as much as you could
always
smoke.
Smoking, yeah. He was always smoking, just a consummate asshole. But yeah, he was an MTV VJ, is what Carla says. I don't know if I remember him being an actual VJ. I do remember being on MTV a lot.
I do remember him being a VJ, I believe. I think he was, unless he was a guest VJ, but he was up there a lot.
Yeah, that was a big thing. What a concept. Like, you know, my kids don't know anything about what a VJ is or...
Remember Kennedy?
Yeah.
She's on Fox News now.
Yeah,
She does.
she's on Fox
She's
News
still
a lot.
around.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of VJs. Martha Stewart, or
They
not
did.
Martha Stewart, Martha
Martha Quinn.
Is she
Yeah.
still around?
Martha Quinn. She'll do kind of like some 80s stuff, but I mean, you know, now look at it. You know, she was
Yeah.
one of the original VJs, and so, I mean, 80s is now...
I know.
That's
old
that's
as
oldies
shit,
music.
Man.
It
It
is.
is so old.
Yeah, the stuff we grew up by. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, so they've had a few, and then what's his name's on the Today Show? He used to do TRL Live.
Oh,
Can't remember his
the
name.
guy with no personality.
Yes, you're always like, how's this guy get a gig?
What the fuck is his name? Why can't I think of his name?
He was a guy I insulted so badly.
Carson
in that
Daly.
Carson Daly.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I insulted him so much, and I was like, "Yeah, you're kind of like the East Coast Ryan Seacrest." He's like, "I like to think I've done more than that," and I was like, "Bitch, you step off."
I was telling the story.
I'm like, Seacrest is much bigger than you.
I was telling this story to my dad over the weekend before he left back to go to Texas. I go, we had David Blaine's number, and Kevin called him and pranked him, but we couldn't air it because you just can't
I
air
didn't
it.
get his permission. Yeah.
And you had his. I'm not sure how you got his cell phone number,
Yeah.
but he answered it right away.
He did.
said, "How did you get this number?" And then you just go, "Magic."
He was so pissed.
So pissed. That is the best call. We were never
Never
able to air.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we just did it for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. Oh, gosh, the good old days. The good old days. All right, thanks for all the emails. You can always get them to us, mail at kvjshow.com. Enjoy your Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Goodbye.